In the mid-90s, the boy band formula seemed simple: charisma, style, stellar vocals, and a distinct look. But then came DRU Hill. This wasn't your average boy band. They exploded onto the scene with raw energy and powerful harmonies that set them apart. Their gritty, gospel-infused vocals and bold stage presence captivated audiences. DRU Hill quickly became a force to be reckoned with, establishing themselves as one of the most influential male groups of the 90s. But their reign was short-lived. This is the story of DRU Hill, a tale of raw talent, unforeseen challenges, and a legacy that continues to resonate today. Bill Clinton was on his way to becoming the 42nd president. Criss Cross had everyone wearing their clothes backward, and Michael Jackson mesmerized the world with his groundbreaking 99-minute video for Remember the Time. During this pivotal moment in pop culture, a young Tamir Ruffin was laying the foundation for his chapter in R&B history. Tamir's musical roots ran deep. His uncle was associated with Motown great Smokey Robinson, and his grandmother could play any song on the piano by ear. Though he was raised in a tough neighborhood in Baltimore, his talent shielded him from the streets. As a young man, the local hustlers would pay him to sing love songs to their girlfriends. So naturally, Tamir pursued a path in music. But he had another ambition: becoming a businessman. As a high school freshman, he showed up to school in suits or a trench coat, carrying a briefcase as if channeling the spirits of industry giants like Gerald Busby or Berry Gordy. Tamir wasn't initially trying to be in a singing group. He was focused on his solo pursuits. However, when he met Mark Cisco Andrews and James Woody Green through his best friend Brett, he thought it would be a good idea for them to join the duo who were already singing together. By then, Tamir had adopted the nickname Nokio, short for Nasty on Key and Octave, with his full stage name being Nokio the Entity. Together with another classmate, Chris Thomas, the guys formed a group called 14K Harmony. Since all of them grew up in the church, they began as a gospel group, performing in churches and talent shows before moving into secular music. However, there was one problem. Woody, raised in a strict Baptist family, was forbidden by his mother from singing anything other than gospel music. Once she discovered that the guys had shifted to R&B, she pulled 15-year-old Woody out of the group, but he still snuck in practices with the guys at school, though he missed any public performances. Ironically, it was without Woody that the group caught the attention of manager Kevin Peake. During a performance at Morgan State University, Peake gave each member a ride home after the show, stopping to talk to their parents at every house. The group eventually agreed to let him manage them. With Peake's management, the group tied for first place at the Apollo Theater's amateur night in New York. Larry Anthony, also known as Jazz, really wanted to be in the group. Every day, Jazz would approach Nokio at his locker asking to join. Nokio declined until after Jazz performed Whitney Houston's The Greatest Love of All at a school assembly. After hearing him, Nokio knew they needed his voice in the group. After Jazz joined, Brevette and Chris eventually left, leaving the members to reevaluate their direction. During this period, the group had pivoted back to their gospel roots, which prompted Woody's return, a move that his mother wholeheartedly approved. Woody would later joke that she told him, "You tried me," but with Woody back in the fold, the group moved forward as a quartet. One of the group's early gigs was singing at the Fudgery, a local fudge shop where they'd harmonize while making orders. Cisco later told Baltimore Magazine part of the job was to take popular songs and throw the word fudge in there, so instead of "Isn't she lovely," we'd sing "Isn't fudge lovely." No one gets discovered at the Fudge, but it was good practice. Cisco always knew he wanted to be a star. Born Mark Andrews, he got his nickname because his childhood friends thought his light curly hair made him look Latino. As a kid, Cisco entered several Michael Jackson dance contests, winning most of them. His love for performing began when he saw Michael moonwalk on Motown 25 in 1983. Saying at that moment, "I knew what I wanted to do," he took inspiration from Jackson, but also from KC from Jodeci. Cisco studied KC's stage presence and vocal style, blending it with his own flair. Before Destiny's Child became household names, they were Girls' Time before they were SWV, and before the guys found their signature sound, they went by several names including 14K Harmony, Legacy, and Storm. As Storm, they were featured on local radio for a couple of years, but nothing ever popped off. Under the name Legacy, they secured a deal with University Music Group. Cisco later called it a teeny-weeny deal in a 1999 Vibe interview, but it gave them exposure in the HBCU circuit and meetings with industry heavyweights. Their talent was undeniable. When they flew to Los Angeles to audition for Interscope, they listened to Tupac's then unreleased single, How Do You Want It, once, and were able to sing it back in perfect harmony. Cisco later said, "Our ears had become so keen, we decided we were either going to get signed or go to school. We'd been at this since the 9th grade, and it was going on 4 years. Their breakthrough came when the University Music Group set up an audition with Hyam Hicks, president of Island Black Music, a subdivision of Island Records. The group piled into a car and drove to New York, not knowing this would mark the start of their next chapter. Hicks was recording the soundtrack for the movie Eddie and had a song titled Tell Me in the works. When they came to the studio, when the four sang the track, Hicks stopped them halfway and said, "You guys gotta sign this paper." The record company wanted the group to change their name. Legacy just wasn't a good fit. The guys eventually settled on the name DRU Hill, paying tribute to Baltimore's Druid Hill Park. In August 1996, their debut single, Tell Me, hit the airwaves, and DRU Hill was officially on the map. The song peaked at number 5 on the R&B charts and number 18 on the pop charts. In the music video, the group danced in front of a Technicolor stage, jumping in perfect harmony. Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Beyoncé. There's always that one member of the group who's the bona fide star. Not to say the others don't have the talent, but there's usually an aura, a certain wow factor, that makes the public key into one artist. Yeah, you can try to explain it away, say that there's someone in the background pulling strings to push them into the forefront, but you can't manipulate charisma. You can't manufacture a nit factor. And Cisco had it. It didn't hurt that his hair had been dyed blonde, standing out from the other members' black cuts. The label wanted him to change his hair back to black, but he refused. The group followed up Tell Me with the ballad In My Bed. The song had been passed around the industry. Cisco claimed he heard versions with 112 and even Usher, but the guys of DRU Hill reluctantly sang it. He also claimed that he didn't like the subject matter of the song, stating he didn't want to sound like a loser singing about someone cheating on him. But the song was a hit and reached number 1 on the R&B charts. Cisco helped arrange the So Def remix for the single, but never got credit for it. In November 1996, the group released their debut album. The album peaked at number 23 on the US Billboard 200 and reached the 5th spot on the R&B albums charts. By June of 1997, the album was certified platinum. AllMusic described the album as an impressive debut and a razor-sharp clue of the great things to come. Also in that year, the guys were able to use their signature branding. The Rolling Stones had the tongue, Prince owned purple, and Michael had the glove. And DRU Hill? Well, they'd have the dragon. During one of their first photo shoots at a studio in Chinatown, they saw a dragon painted on the wall and they insisted they keep it in their pictures, making it their own. While Cisco was the clear lead singer, Jazz took the reins on the group's third single, Never Make a Promise, which also shot to number 1 on the R&B charts. Each guy has writing credits on the album, with Woody and Jazz having 4 apiece. Nokia, inspired by Jodeci's Devante Swing, produced 5 tracks for their album. DRU Hill was making serious waves in the industry. In a 1999 article, Nokia said, "I met Devante not long ago. I was amazed." Cisco met KC as well, stating, "It was like meeting Michael Jackson to me. My muscles locked up. My mouth went dry. He told me, 'You sound like me, the way that I sound like Bobby Womack. It's obvious you studied me like I studied him.'" By 1997, DRU Hill was on top of the world. They had a platinum album and chart-topping records, but they had little money to show for it. Woody claimed that all the money they made went back into the group, but Hyam Hicks claimed that their expectations were bigger than their album sales. A few years before, The group signed to University Records for 12% of the sales for each album sold, but the group was paying about half of that to their management, production team, stylists, and whoever else in their entourage. And when they signed their deal with Island Black Records, they got an even smaller piece of the pie. In the spring of that year, at their platinum record party, everything came to a head. Keith Ingram, a member of Kevin Peake's management team, alleged he was assaulted by Hicks at the party. The lawsuit stated Hicks and his brother Joshua, described in the lawsuit as an armed guard, assaulted Ingram and his associate, kicking and beating them with a pool stick in front of the quartet. The argument allegedly started over someone feeling disrespected by the money or lack thereof the group was making. From Hicks' point of view, his deal was with University Music Group, and they were in charge of paying the guys. From everyone else's point of view, Hicks and his label, Island Black Music, were the predatory party. DRU Hill and University Records would go on to sue Island's parent company, Polygram, for a whopping $55 million, claiming there was an invidious, terrorist campaign of violent and coercive acts orchestrated against the group by the label. By November, the group would eventually settle the lawsuit for an undisclosed amount. They were also supposedly given a chance for each member of the group to do a solo album. In 1996, 17-year-old Maya had just signed to Interscope Records by way of A&R Islam, the same man who signed DRU Hill to their deal. She was being heralded as an artist who could compete with the likes of Brandy and Monica, and Islam was able to set her up to work with top-tier collaborators for her debut album. One of those collaborators was DRU Hill. Her debut single, It's All About Me, was co-written by Sisqó and recorded as a duet with the two. Her second single, Moving On, was also co-written by Sisqó. In November of 1997, while in between albums and on the heels of settling with their label, the quartet also released We're Not Making Love No More for the soundtrack to the movie Soul Food, both written and produced by Babyface. The single peaked at number 2 on the R&B charts and number 13 on the pop charts. They were also featured on Foxy Brown's Big Bad Mama for the How to Be a Player soundtrack. Inspired by the 1973 film Enter the Dragon, DRU Hill released their sophomore album, Enter the Dru, in 1998. The album was recorded over a 3-week span in Los Angeles during the early months of the year. Their first single, How Deep Is Your Love, would be the group's biggest yet. The song reached number 3 on the pop charts and was their third number 1 on the R&B charts, where it stayed for 3 weeks. Their follow-up single, These Are the Times, reached number 5 on the R&B charts. Remember that star power thing? By 1998, it wasn't just DRU Hill fans who were enamored with Sisqó. By then, the whole industry was buzzing about him. He was featured on songs by himself, leading most of their hits, and the camera was always on him during performances and videos. While Nokia was more focused on production and business, the other members, Woody and Jazz, started to feel like they were being seen as merely background singers. Jazz also felt like, since he was a bigger guy, he would be pushed in the back of photos due to his size. Woody had been struggling with his place in the group at that time. His mother used to call R&B the devil's music, and while on tour, he said he never felt love from the fans. He got tired of the others having their moment while he never had the crowd reaction he wanted. One night, while praying, he heard a voice tell him, "You will never get what you want until you're doing it for me." And at that moment, he knew he had to leave the group. During the video shoot for the Wild Wild West single for the soundtrack of the movie of the same name, Woody left the group in the middle of filming. Seeing as how Sisqó got most of the scenes in the video, and the other guys were just waiting around to film, Woody was fed up with feeling treated and left the group in the middle of the shoot, leaving the other 3 to finish the video without him. This incident added to an already traumatizing experience. During a show in Paris, Woody recalled that shortly after landing in the city, they were warned they might have to fight that night. A local gang, connected with the concert promoters, often picked fights with artists to rob them. But most of the artists were rappers, so the group brushed it off. The group was unaware the gang was present at their venue. After their security refused a fan's photo request, a fight erupted. Within seconds, one of the men pulled a firearm. DRU Hill security quickly rushed them into their van, but the shooter chased them, firing at the van's window. Thankfully, the bullets missed as they ducked inside. Following the attack, the United States Embassy provided heavy security at their hotel. This deeply unsettled Woody, who was already questioning his place in the group. Once they got back to America, one of their first appearances was to film the Wild Wild West video. While Cisco was dancing and singing all in the video, Woody had nothing to do. And he decided he was done. It didn't help that one of the girls he was dating was on the set, which had to be a little embarrassing. The group continued in his absence. They released You Are Everything in 1999 without Woody in the video. This would be their lowest charting single from the album, reaching number 27 on the R&B charts. The group would start making public appearances and doing shows as a trio, but it came with a lukewarm reception. That same year, Island Records would merge with Def Jam to become the Island Def Jam Music Group, making Enter the DRU their last record on the label and the group the newest members of Def Jam's De Soul subsidiary. Let's talk about De Soul real quick. On the heels of Montel Jordan's smash single, This Is How We Do It. Russell Simmons and Kevin Lai founded De Soul as the R&B subsidiary of the Def Jam recording label in 1999. Along with Island Black artist Kelly Price, DRU Hill was joining a roster of artists that were starting to shake up the music industry. But the guys were at a crossroads, down a member, and momentum was dwindling from their album. If you could predict which member of DRU Hill would go solo in the 90s, it would be Cisco. And in November 1999, he did just that, unleashing The Dragon, his debut album. It was released to moderate success until Thong Song was an instant hit, reaching number 3 on the charts. His follow-up single, Incomplete, also reached number 1 on the pop charts, something that DRU Hill was never able to accomplish. He also had a new look, trading in his blonde hair for platinum just like his record. And the album would go on to sell over 5 million copies. Cisco was on fire. He even had his own doll. But he wasn't the only one doing his thing. Nokio focused on producing for other artists like DMX and Foxy Brown. He and Cisco signed a girl group named Lover under their joint label, Dragon Records, and their single, How It's Gonna Be, was featured on the Rush Hour 2 soundtrack in 2001. In 2001, Jazz was headed towards solo territory as well, but due to issues with Def Jam's head, Leor Cohen, it never came to fruition. He was dropped as a solo artist. He would go on to say about that period, "After the glitz and glamour, all I did was watch television and eat. There was no real money coming in, so I would drive around the city in a cab just to make $70 or $80. I had gone from spending thousands a day to hacking while everyone else was still entrenched in R&B. Woody was trying to do gospel. Kevin Lai allegedly told him that although he was leaving the group, Def Jam wanted to keep him on the label to do his solo album. But Def Jam didn't do gospel and kept trying to get him to cut deals like making a cameo in the Thong Song video to keep the label satisfied in hopes that a solo gospel album would soon come. Woody eventually left Def Jam and released his gospel album, Soul Music, under Gospel-Centric Records, which had artists like Kirk Franklin and Dinda on their labels. The album would end up having lackluster sales due to low promotion. Cisco was aiming for dominance in the R&B game, but when he released his sophomore album, Return of the Dragon, in 2001, although it received positive reviews from critics, it was a commercial disappointment and didn't have any hits like his previous album. DRU Hill's journey has been a testament to the power of raw talent and the complexities of the music industry. From their explosive debut to the internal struggles and unexpected twists, their story is a reminder that even with immense success, the road to the top is rarely paved with gold. But through it all, DRU Hill has left an undeniable mark on R&B music. Their harmonies, their stage presence, and their charisma continue to inspire a new generation of artists. Despite the ups and downs, the legacy of DRU Hill remains strong. What are your thoughts on their journey? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more music stories. Thanks for watching.